Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Some Kind of Heaven. And this is a new documentary from Lance Oppenheim and producer Darren Aronofsky about the villages. So, I'm going to share a little fun story. So when I was younger, like when I was a kid, I always remember seeing the villages commercials on TV. I'm like, I'm going to retire there. Like they're all having they have a softball league, they have golf and the pools and everything. And growing up, I'm like, I'm going to move to Florida and retire to the villages. As a 29-year-old, hell, I'm never going to Florida. I will not be retiring there. Maybe I'll go back for Disney World, not going to Florida. But besides that, so I thought this was interesting that this film was popping up because I'm like, okay, I, for some reason as a kid, idolized this idea of this retirement community. And it's interesting because this film focuses on certain people in this community that are struggling to connect. And I think that's an interesting thing because, obviously, the commercials and everything, everyone's like, what a wonderful place! And not everybody's going to come into a community like this and click. And there's different people throughout, and some of it's crazy. You have probably the most relatable one is at the forefront is a woman who's dealing with not being able to connect, loneliness. You see it on her face. There's just a sense of despair and sadness about her, and it takes her throughout the film to be able to connect and find somebody and others that make her feel welcomed here and find a purpose here. You have another guy who's trying to avoid being thrown off the premises. He's living out of his van. He's a slut. And he wants to find his sugar mama to let him, find a woman for him to move in with so he can actually live in the villages. And I'm just like, look at this guy. And he's scummy. And he's a terrible person, but he's so intriguing. And then you have this other couple where the husband's dealing with some serious stuff, and there's courtroom scenes in this of one of the I have not seen judges lay down into somebody, and this judge is railing into this guy about how disrespectful he is. He's like, I've had rapists and murderers in here, but none of them have been as disrespectful as you. I'm like, look at this guy. But you have all those different things, and what really impresses me about this film is how beautifully shot it is, and how crisp it's shot. The framing, the camera movement, it feels like the camera movements and kind of the framing and the positioning of people in the frame to a Wes Anderson film. There's so much attention to detail in how everything was framed in this film, which is so crazy for a documentary, because documentaries, it's a lot of either you're just sitting there and being interviewed at different angles, or you're in it with people and it feels very raw. This was incredibly well shot, well lit, just framed to perfection. And it still is able to capture these stories of these different people in a meaningful way. You have the mole agent, which I feel digs a little deeper and hits a little bit more authentically in the way that it shows the desperation of people in a older community and that loneliness. But I still think this is a really well-crafted film. Lance Oppenheim does such a fantastic job of bringing this together and bringing it to life. Because at times, you don't feel like you're watching a documentary. And I think that's some of the highest praise you can give a documentary, is that you forget you're watching one. And Honeyland really sold that for me. It's and the mole agent, I didn't think I was watching a documentary. That's how engaging and enthralling they were. And this film is along the same lines. There's moments where it's I kind of forgot I was watching a documentary, and I thought I was watching a narrative, because how well this was shot and how impeccably framed everything was and realized on screen. So I definitely think that Some Kind of Heaven's worth your time, and you should go check this out. It's on virtual cinemas right now. But those are my thoughts on Some Kind of Heaven. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.